This video is brought to you by Azorpa. They make portable monitors, and they have a lot of options depending on what it is that you're looking for. But the one that they sent me is the G1 gaming monitor. It's a 15.6-inch diagonal monitor, and the thing that makes it their gaming monitor is the fact that it has a refresh rate of 144 Hz. Now, I have a lot of screens in my house, but the only one of them that has a high refresh rate screen is my iPad, which I don't really use for gaming. So I was really interested to see how high refresh rate looked in person, as I've heard people talk about it about 1 billion times here on YouTube, but I've never really had a chance to experience it myself. Let's start off with how thin this thing is. At its thinnest point, it measures just 0.3 inches thick, which is actually thinner than my iPad. It measures 15.6 inches across diagonally, and the weight comes in at just 1.36 pounds. I'm very happy to say that the screen has a matte finish, which is great because it reduces the glare that you're going to get when looking at the screen. Here you can see that the matte screen is very well diffusing the giant LED panel lights that I'm using to light my studio. I know in the video it might look a little bit harsh, but I wanted to make sure that you could actually see how the light is diffused. When you're sitting right in front of the screen at a normal viewing angle, you can't really see the light reflected nearly as bad as it looks here on YouTube. On the left-hand side, you have two USB-C ports as well as mini-HDMI. Now, I have a lot of cords around the house. I've got tons of HDMI cables, and I've got USB-C cables coming out of my ears, but I don't have any mini-HDMI. So I was really happy that the screen actually shipped with a mini HDMI cord, as well as USB-C to C and a USB-C to A cord, plus a power brick. The mini HDMI and USB-C ports can all be used for video input, and the USB-C can be used to power the screen or pass through power to your device. Here you can see I hooked up a Steam Deck to the screen and ran into an issue where it's not actually charging the deck fast enough. So if you don't want to have to worry about your deck running out of power, you could use the brick that came with your Steam Deck, but I actually prefer to use my Ugreen 140 watt charger because then I can charge my Steam Deck, power this screen, and charge two other things at the same time. On the right hand side of the screen is the power button, which also functions as the back button. There's also a wheel for menus. If you depress that switch, it brings up a menu for the monitor so you can make some adjustments. Flicking that switch up will bring up the brightness menu, and flicking it down will give you the ability to adjust the volume of the display. If you want to make sure that you're not bugging those around you, that also has a headphone jack. But if you're all by yourself, you can use those downfiring speakers on the bottom of the unit, which for a device this thin are actually pretty impressive. Here's what they sound like right now. They're nice, but I prefer to wear my headphones for this, as it gives a better quality audio anyway. My headphones of choice are the Audio-Technica ATH M50X. They sound great, have a detachable cord, and are collapsible. I also have ear cushions for them from Wicked Cushions. They're far more comfortable than the cushions that came with the headset. As with pretty much any product that I show in my videos, links in the description if you want to pick up a pair. The screen comes with a pre-installed magnetic cover that actually doubles as a stand. It has a faux leather look to it, and there's branding embossed on the front. Now, because of the shape of the screen, it slaps onto the back very easily, and you can't put it on wrong thanks to the magnets. This is a great way to protect the screen as it is very thin and light. Just make sure that you put it into the laptop section of your backpack for a little added protection. You can easily flip the lid around to the back and pinch it up on the top in order to turn it into a stand for the screen. I feel like it doesn't bend as much as I would like and leaves the screen a little too vertical for my tastes. Mine never actually fell over, but I felt like it could, and it made me always worry just a little bit about whether or not that was going to happen. I wish that there was a little more flex to the stand so you could get a shallower angle that was less likely to fall over. In the meantime, I'm using this stand as a way to keep the monitor at a better angle, which would make it a little bit more stable. Speaking of angles, let's talk about viewing angles. I remember back in the day, if you weren't sitting right in front of a screen, you couldn't see anything, or it would all be color shifted and everything would look really weird. This display has a 178-degree ultra-wide viewing angle and looks great from pretty much any angle that you would actually realistically use it from. The screen is 1080p and it looks really good as long as you remember to make your consoles not send HDR to it. My Series X actually figured this out right out of the box, but when I plugged in my PS5, it looked super washed out. For some reason, the PS5 didn't detect that this screen wasn't HDR, so I had to make that switch manually, and then it looked fine. Now, as a portable screen, you are going to be using it in a lot of different lighting conditions, and thanks to the anti-glare screen, indoors, it'll probably be fine no matter where you go. But it does have a pretty dim screen at only 300 nits. When I compare that to the brightness of my phone, which is 800 nits, or the Steam Deck, which is 400 nits, this is going to be dimmer. But you're trading brightness for screen size in that case, and this is a good deal bigger than the 7-inch screen on your Steam Deck. And I also really don't think I ever run my Steam Deck at full brightness anyway, so 400 nits versus 300 nits probably isn't a deal breaker. Now, like I said at the beginning, the thing that I was really interested in here was the refresh rate. Of course, refresh rate is highly dependent on what device you're connecting to the screen and what game you're playing. For instance, the Steam Deck is a fairly low-powered device. Don't get me wrong, it's fantastic, but asking the deck to push 144 Hz of pretty much anything is going to be unrealistic. However, using either the Xbox Series X or the PS5 could get you higher refresh rates depending on what game you're playing. Now, keep in mind that I'm not filming this at 144 Hz, as that would look really weird here on YouTube, and honestly, most people watching this would be looking at it on a standard refresh rate screen, so it would be lost in translation. But here you can see that I'm playing Titanfall, and it's currently running at 144 Hz on my PC. And here, when I bring up the quick access menu on my Steam Deck, you can see that I have the option of running the game that I'm playing at 144 Hz. Of course, Divinity Original Sin won't run at that refresh rate, but it's not the fault of the screen. The big issue here is that neither of those systems are very portable systems. So this monitor might not be the best use case for those, and the high refresh rate is kind of a moot point on more portable solutions that can't take advantage of that feature. But if you just ignore the refresh rate and think about it as something that you would use when you're at home, and just capitalize on the thin and light nature of this screen, it's going to handle pretty much whatever you throw at it. The thin and light design coupled with the built-in cover makes this a great way to put your portable games on a bigger screen when you're on the go, and then be able to capitalize on the big refresh rate stuff when you're at home. Or, I mean, who am I to tell you not to travel with your PS5 or Series X or gaming rig? Perhaps you take those things with you all the time, and that's just par for the course for you. At the end of the day, 144 Hz might be overkill for you, but it's a pretty good screen either way. And if nothing else, it might be a good addition to having multiple screens for your laptop when you're on the go. I know that going from a double display to a single display can be a really frustrating experience. And this screen is thin, light, and pretty much compatible with everything. So what do you guys think of the Azorpa G1 game monitor? Let me know in the comments down below, and big thank you to Azorpa for sponsoring this video. From the Nerd Nest, I'm Bill. Stay rad, everybody.